What is going on with Hedera hash graph? Why is the HBAR token rallying that much? Who is buying here? Who is selling here? What are the news? Let's have a look at some data most people are not considering to try to figure out whether or not it still makes sense to buy HBAR. Now we're currently at 35 cents. We are up 41% today, 155% this week, and we more than 8x'd in the last month. Now, time and time again, we see how the smart money, how the whales, they tend to front run moves like this. Because have a look at this Twitter post here. Whales keep accumulating HBAR as the HBAR tokens tended to leave the exchanges. And that post is from yesterday. And we can see how the largest accounts, the 100 million token accounts, tended to get most of the supply. Now, what got front run over here? Probably this news. There's a filing of an ETF for HBAR. The HBAR ETF by Canary Capital Group LLC. And what kind of impact does a filing like this have? What kind of impact does the whale accumulation have? It made Hedera Hashgraph the top performing in the 100 largest tokens. Here, have a look at this table. This is the top 100 cryptocurrencies in terms of market cap ordered by their performance in the last week. And Hedera Hashgraph, or the HBAR token, is at number 1. And so in US dollars, it's very close to its all-time high. That had been in September of 2021 at roughly 50 cents. Again, now we are at 35 cents. Now the price might not be at an all-time high, but something else definitely is. So this is the long-term price chart, but have a look at the long-term market cap chart. The peak used to be at 6.6 billion. Now we are at 13.5 billion. So this shows how much the supply of HBAR increased over time. This is actually rather interesting. Most altcoins that already had a bull run in a prior cycle cannot regain their prior price tops because the supply expands over time. With the HBAR token, there is a real possibility. We only need to grow another 46%. So just another day like today, and we are at an all-time high in price. And that happened despite the need for way more capital now compared to 3 years ago. Now, I like to look at altcoin prices relative to Bitcoin, not necessarily relative to the US dollar, because the US dollar expands over time, right? The supply increases by roughly 6.8% per year. So of course, if you measure anything in US dollars over the long term, prices tend to go up for everything. At the same time, the comparison to Bitcoin makes sense because there is a lot of correlation within crypto, right? When Bitcoin goes up, then all the altcoins go up as well, and vice versa. In other words, if you invest into an altcoin, you need to expect more performance compared to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the safest of the cryptocurrencies. More risk long term should equal to more return. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to take on that additional risk. And so have a look at this chart here. This is HBAR long term relative to Bitcoin. And since September of 2019, we did not necessarily outperform, even with this recent rally. We are still down by 58%. If you bought during the hype in September of 2021 and you just recently sold, so the very worst time to buy into HBAR, you'd now be down by 93%. Now there's another interesting metric. We can have a look at the HBAR dominance. What does this mean? It means how much of the entire cryptocurrency market cap is currently in HBAR. So we can see how did HBAR perform relative to all of crypto, not just relative to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, of course, over the very long term tends to beat most other altcoins. And so with that recent rally, we are at an all-time high. The top in market cap in November of 2021 was also a relatively high level in dominance, but since most cryptocurrencies rather underperformed Bitcoin, the HBAR dominance is at an all-time high. We are 60% higher compared to November of 2021. Now, there is a very interesting effect recently happening. I noticed this a few days ago that suddenly, out of nothing, it seems like advertisers are willing to pay more money in order to advertise on YouTube. So there's this metric called the CPM, or the cost per mil. And here is what happened with that metric. This is the development on my channel, and most of the times advertisers were willing to pay maybe around $10 or so for 1,000 views. Now that recently doubled. In other words, it seems like maybe the centralized exchanges and crypto projects, etc., they want to bring in new investors. And one vehicle to advertise is, of course, to also push up prices of tokens that you hold the majority of. Because check this out. This is the trading volume of HBAR on the spot market in the last 24 hours. 16% is by Binance, 4% is by Whitebit, which is a white labeled version of Binance. And here we've got the perpetual futures market, also dominated by Binance. So the way this practically works is that you remove liquidity from the centralized exchanges. So you move this, for example, into cold storage, the thing that we looked at the beginning of this video. Then the order books gets very thin, and then it doesn't take that much money in order to push up the price. And of course, rising prices are very attractive for retail investors, right? There aren't too many people that are interested in crypto when prices are low. Funnily enough, most people are interested in crypto when prices are very high. Now, crypto as a whole is currently expanding very, very quickly. What we've got behind me is the stablecoin market cap. And this is a 3-year chart, so it starts in July 2021. And we peaked in the stablecoin market cap in April of 2022. Over here, what happened was the Terra Luna collapse. So this is when Anchor protocol went bust. This is when UST depegged. The market as a whole shrunk, money was flowing out of crypto, and this is also where FTX collapsed. And then we saw the turnaround in October of last year. Now money is flowing into crypto again, and that's recently accelerating. The stablecoin market cap going up means, of course, that money is flowing from fiat into crypto, and that of course means that prices across all of the crypto space should continue to rise. I really like this chart because it has very little volatility. We can see the trend very clearly. In the short term though, we might be slightly heated. What we've got over here is again a stablecoin market cap chart, but this time that's not in US dollars. This time it's relative to the entire crypto market. So you might have heard of the Bitcoin dominance chart, right? How much of all of crypto is currently in Bitcoin? That's, by the way, currently at roughly 60%. It tends to peak at around 70%. What we see over here is the stablecoin dominance. So how much of all of crypto is currently in the stablecoins? And there is a strong inverse correlation between this and crypto prices. So when the stablecoin dominance is high, crypto prices are low. And when the stablecoin dominance is low, crypto prices are high. And we seem like, at least temporarily, to hit some potential floor here, which might mean that some cryptocurrencies might see local tops. That being said, especially in the last few days, we do see how the altcoins tend to outperform the rest of crypto. So this is the others dominance. So this is the cryptocurrency market cap that's not in the top 10. And this did go up since beginning of November to today by 23%. It appears as if there is some kind of altcoin rotation happening. At least we see the beginnings of it. And so what was the best performer across all of the altcoins in the last week? It's Virtual protocol. Virtual is a launchpad of AI agents on the base chain, and it almost tripled in the last week. This is the long-term chart, very impressive. And the big question is, how can we buy something like Virtual when it's not up there, but when it's somewhere down here? My answer to this question is wallet tracking. It's trying to figure out what are other smart investors doing? What are insiders doing? What are people doing that move prices? What are people doing that tended to make the right calls in the past? And so it's always nice to see what is the smart money doing, what is the not so smart money doing. For example, this over here. This is an alert that BitBoy Crypto sold virtual tokens at 1.4 cents. We don't have the alerts where he bought this, so maybe he got some allocation because he's an influencer, but he sold his allocation. He did this multiple times, by the way. And again, what he sold subsequently went up by more than 10,000%. And so yeah, BitBoy Crypto, in my opinion, is pretty much the Jim Cramer of crypto. It doesn't make sense to copy trade him, but it's interesting to see what he's doing. There are other people though that are worth copy trading. For example, over here, we've got Crypto Gains that bought the virtual token. That was at 5.8 cents. So since then, the price went up by 2,500%. Who is Crypto Gains? It's this influencer here. He tends to buy tokens relatively early, and he tends to also be very public about his purchases, which can generate, of course, a lot of attention and can bring in more investors, pushing up the price further. So he does very risky plays regularly. He's got 138,000 subscribers. And so how do we get these buy and sell signals? It's through finding the right wallets first and foremost, right? It's doing some on-chain analytics to figure out those wallets. And it's subsequently by putting those wallets in a wallet tracker and get notifications whenever they buy and sell. So over here, we've got the wallets by CryptoGains that we are tracking. We've got 55 of his wallets. But then at a later point in time, we also see more people buying into the virtual token, the people that tend to deploy much more capital. For example, over here, we've got Kyle Chessy that bought $100,000 worth of the token, and that was at 48 cents. And so here is Kyle Chessy. He's got 137,000 subscribers. And since he bought, the price went up by 220%. We've got 12 of his wallets, and of course not every trade goes like this, but in general, right, I do believe it makes sense to follow the smart money. It is much better to follow the people that tend to make profit compared to simply just picking random tokens in a list. And so I like this approach that much that I made 8 dedicated tutorial videos just on this wallet tracking topic. They are over here. It's how to find various influencer wallets. It's how to track those influencers, and it's also about how to interpret the signals that we get from the tracking. It's all part of the premium membership of this channel that's down below, thebitcoinstrader.com. It's not just wallet tracking that we do, it's also risk mitigation, portfolio diversification, backtesting. There's more than 100 tutorial videos in total in premium. Once we've got a signal, we of course also have to discuss when should we buy, when should we sell. That's why we've got our dedicated chats for the individual altcoins as well. So feel free to check it out. It's currently $165 per month. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like premium, in case you don't learn anything, just message me within the first 7 days and I will refund you 100%. There's really zero risk for you. And so does it still make sense to buy HBAR right now? I do think that the current manipulation by the market makers, by the centralized exchanges could continue. That being said, I'm personally more interested in tokens that haven't rallied that much, but that still have a lot of ownership by the centralized exchanges. So what we're looking for is a lot of ownership by the centralized exchanges, very little trading volume on chain, and ideally, of course, also a relatively small market cap so that the rally can continue for a bit longer. Because for example, with Dogecoin, the market cap is already that large that it can't that easily do another 3, 4, 5x. With HBAR, we are at 13 billion, and a 3x would already put it in the realms of Cardano. A 5x would put it into territories of Dogecoin. So that's the art of crypto, right? It's trying to buy low and sell high, ideally buying something low that has at the same time positive momentum. If you got some value out of this video, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video, or see you in premium. Cheers.